If you're looking for hearing aids that help reduce the sound of ringing or buzzing in your ears, this video is for you. Now, if you've followed the channel for long, you know that I'm a hearing aid wearer and I've tested almost every hearing aid on the market. But I have not ever done a dedicated tinnitus focused video. And part of the reason for that is that tinnitus is not a major part of my everyday life. I do have tinnitus occasionally, but it's not one of the primary reasons that I wear hearing aids. But that said, we get so many comments and questions over at soundly.com about the connection between hearing aids and tinnitus. Folks asking, what are the best hearing aids for tinnitus? Which hearing aids have tinnitus features? And are there any over-the-counter hearing aids that have tinnitus features? We're going to answer all of those questions in this video. And by the end, I hope you have a better sense of the connection between amplification that comes from hearing aids and how it can support tinnitus, and also some of the products on the market that you might consider. If we haven't yet met, my name is Blake Cadwell. I'm the co-founder at soundly.com. We're one of the leading destinations for hearing aid research and shopping in the United States. If you like what you see in this video, I'd appreciate it if you give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Helps us reach more people. With that, let's dig in. All right, so if you're just getting started on your research on the connection between hearing loss, hearing aids, and tinnitus, let me just give you a quick lay of the land. About 80% of people who experience tinnitus also have some level of hearing loss. Now, the science behind this is really interesting. As your hearing capabilities decline over time, or if there's a sudden change in hearing, your brain begins to look for sound that it once heard, but doesn't hear anymore. Those missing sounds can create a feedback loop inside of your auditory cortex, which ultimately you perceive as a ringing, a buzzing, a clicking, a chirping. There are lots of different sounds that folks hear when they have tinnitus. A couple of years ago, I worked with our lead audiologist, Amy Sorrow, and an animator to show this whole process inside the brain and how hearing loss and tinnitus are connected. It's a part of an overall series we did called Inside the Ear. If you want to check that video out, I'll link it up here. But the key thing you might be wondering is, how do hearing aids help reduce this feedback loop and ultimately prevent the sound of ringing in my ears? Now, there are a couple different answers to that question. The first is pretty simple. By simply bringing in more sound into your ears, you drown out that sound of tinnitus, which is probably most prevalent when you're in quiet. Many people talk about their tinnitus being especially loud at night when they're laying in bed, or sometimes I'll notice my tinnitus, even though it is fairly minor, when I'm in a quiet room thinking or working. Wearing hearing aids brings in more outside world sound and simply drowns out that experience. For that reason, any good quality pair of hearing aids can have a positive impact on your tinnitus. But there are other factors to keep in mind if one of your primary goals with hearing aids is to remedy the ringing in your ears. One of the most common ways that hearing aid wearers treat their tinnitus is by streaming masking sounds directly through their hearing aids and into their ears. So when you put on a pair of hearing aids, like the ones I'm wearing now, certain hearing aids have the ability to stream masking sounds. So maybe white noise, pink noise, or even nature sounds directly into your ears. You could wear your hearing aids throughout the day with that sound playing into your ears. This can provide relief when you're in quieter settings or you're having a lot of trouble with your tinnitus. Some of the leading products I'll talk about in just a couple of moments are prescribed by a local audiologist who can fine-tune some of the frequencies that are played into your ears to specifically target the frequencies of tinnitus that you actually experience. So it becomes really a customized experience that can ultimately target the issue that you're having and hopefully become really effective at masking the sounds that you're hearing or that you're trying to remove. So when I talk about our favorite tinnitus brands, I'll mention these built-in masking features in some of the brands that we talk about, and that's what I'm referencing. A connected but different feature to look for in a pair of tinnitus masking hearing aids is simply the ability to stream through Bluetooth. So if you have an iPhone or an Android and you have a pair of hearing aids that allows you to stream, you can pull up a YouTube video with different fractal sounds or nature sounds or white noise. There are tinnitus apps that you could use and simply stream into your hearing aids. So instead of having the sounds programmed into the devices themselves, which means you don't need Bluetooth, you can simply stream from your phone. This works for a lot of people and gives you a full diversity of different media that you could stream into your ears. So this is another feature to look for if you're looking for a great pair of hearing aids while you also experience tinnitus. The final and very important, but sometimes overlooked consideration for folks with tinnitus is the actual form factor of the hearing aids that you choose. Now, for most folks with tinnitus, the best hearing aids are going to be the ones that occlude the ears the least. So receiver and canal hearing aids will typically come with an optional open dome that lets in a lot of outside sound and then adds in amplification. This will help with clarity of speech, but it will also help keep things natural and open, and importantly, prevent plugging up your ears, which can make tinnitus even worse. So sometimes we'll talk to folks who say, I tried hearing aids, my tinnitus actually got worse. Usually the reason for that is that they're plugging up their ears too much. So they're actually giving less sound to their brain on certain frequencies than they used to, and that's ultimately causing more tinnitus rather than less. So the key thing here is to find a hearing aid with an open fitting. Now, if you have significant hearing loss in lower and mid frequencies and not just at the highest frequencies, which is the most common, talk to your audiologist about how to manage the trade-offs, because you'll need both amplification, which sometimes can require a closed dome, and also the ability to manage your tinnitus symptoms. But if you simply have a sloping hearing loss, most of your hearing loss is in the highest frequencies, you're probably going to want to go with an open dome or something that's pretty open inside of the ears. Okay, so that gives you some of the lay of the land and some of the features to look for as you're looking for a pair of good tinnitus-focused hearing aids. But now let's turn our attention to specific brands. And in this video, I'm going to cover 5 different brands that we think do really well with tinnitus management. 3 of them are prescription fit, so they're offered in a local clinic, and you'll typically work with that local clinician to turn on the tinnitus features and to customize them. If tinnitus is a big part of what you need support with, going into a local clinic can be a really valuable and meaningful step in your overall process. If tinnitus is one factor of many and maybe you're working with a lower budget, you can also look at some options in the over-the-counter market, which we'll talk about in just a moment. So let's start with the prescription options. The first hearing aid on the list that I would recommend you take a look at is the Widex Allure. Widex is generally seen as a market leader when it comes to tinnitus treatment. They have great built-in masking sounds, good customization for clinicians, and importantly, they have a really natural sound quality that works well for folks who are hearing reasonably well in the lower and mid frequencies, but need support in the highest frequencies. This is a hearing aid that you can wear really comfortably with an open dome, and it will give you a lot of benefit. Feels really natural, it's great in music, and generally a really well-built hearing aid for the purpose of tinnitus management. We have a full review of Widex Allure, which you can take a look at somewhere up here. Prescription option number 2 is the hearing aid that I'm wearing right now. This is the Signia IX. It is the receiver and canal device from Signia, and I love this hearing aid. I think it's one of the best overall hearing aids on the market. It's well performing in many different respects. It has great Bluetooth connection for both Android and iPhone. If you're an Android user and you're looking for a strong Bluetooth connected hearing aid, this is definitely one to consider. It has better Bluetooth connection for Android users than Widex. It's also just a workhorse across lots of different features. Has great rechargeable batteries with 37 plus hours. It's very comfortable in the ear. And one thing that's really interesting is that I find that the dome style of Signia hearing aids are the most comfortable, and they also split the difference between being open enough that you can hear lots of ambient sound, which is important for both those with hearing loss, but especially those with tinnitus. And they also are closed enough that you get the amplification that you need if you're trying to manage a hearing loss. So certainly a hearing aid that I would recommend taking a look at. Signia IX has built-in tinnitus features for both masking and something called notch therapy, which I won't get into in this video, but essentially it's a unique option that your clinician will have to trim out certain frequencies around the tinnitus sound that you actually hear in order to help reduce the symptoms of tinnitus over time. It's really interesting. There's a bunch of science behind this. It's a really interesting feature. They also have standard masking, white noise, and ocean sounds as well, which some clinicians prefer. The final prescription option on our list is Phonak Lyric. I did a full in-depth review of this unique hearing aid last year, which I'll link to up here. But essentially, Phonak Lyric is a 24/7 wear all day hearing aid. So you put it deep inside the ear canal. I kind of think of it like a contact lens for your ears. Put it deep inside the ear canal. You leave it in there for 6 weeks or even 8 weeks at a time. Often you'll go back and forth to your audiologist where they're replacing the devices as they need to. But one of the reasons that this hearing aid works really well for folks with tinnitus is that it stays in your ears all the time. So if you're someone who specifically suffers from tinnitus at night and you're unable to manage that with white noise or a fan in your room, you might consider something like Phonak Lyric, because you can put it in and ultimately provide more sound to your brain as you're sleeping, as you're going to sleep, just generally in the quiet hours of the night. Other market leaders like Resound Vivia, Phonak Sphere Infinio, or Oticon Intent all have built-in tinnitus features as well and can be really good options if the clinician that you're working with prefers to work with those brands. Really, when you're in the prescription set, there are some brands that stand out. I think Widex and Signia really stand out, and Phonak Lyric for its unique form factor, but lots of these prescription brands will allow for really great tinnitus management and treatment. But you might be wondering, are there any hearing aids on the OTC market that can support with tinnitus? And the short answer is yes. There are actually two products that I recommend you take a look at if you're looking for tinnitus support and also hearing amplification. The first is Elehear Beyond. Now, interestingly, this is one of the most affordable hearing aids that we carry over at Soundly.com. It's our pick for the best hearing aid under $500. And generally, we would consider it to be in the budget set. It does a reasonably good job managing background noise. It's a pretty evolved hearing aid, but maybe not as advanced as some of the others on the market. But interestingly, within the Elehear Beyond app, you can find tinnitus masking programs. So you can stream tinnitus masking directly into your hearing aids. Elehear Beyond also has very strong Bluetooth streaming. So from Android and iPhone devices, you could stream from YouTube or Spotify or another tinnitus app. So overall, if you're looking for an affordable hearing aid and you have tinnitus, Elehear Beyond is definitely something to take a look at. The other option to consider is the Nuance Audio Glasses. Now, this is a new product on the market. It's actually a pair of glasses and hearing aids combined into one. And the reason that it works well for some folks with tinnitus is that your ears stay open. So it's not plugging up your ears in any way, but it's creating a constant flow of sound down into your ear, adding more sound. It does not have the ability to stream white noise or through Bluetooth, so it falls off on some fronts. But if you're looking for a unique form factor, these glasses can help manage hearing loss symptoms and also provide a constant stream of sound, which can reduce the symptoms of tinnitus. Now, again, you could really look at any high quality over-the-counter hearing aid, and you'll get some benefit from that hearing aid because you're getting additional amplification in your ears. The one exception is that if you have significant tinnitus, I would not recommend an in-ear over-the-counter product like Sony CRE C20. Sony C20 is one of our best-selling products for hearing loss management. It's a fantastic product, but it does occlude the ear just a little bit more. And if you have tinnitus or you're trying to manage tinnitus symptoms, it's likely going to make that experience a little bit more difficult. So I'd steer you towards Sennheiser All Day Clear, Elehear Beyond, or the Nuance Audio Glasses. Okay, so there you have it. Those are some of our choices for the best hearing aids for tinnitus, along with some background on the topic. If you have any questions or thoughts, feel free to head over to Soundly.com. You can talk to our team or drop down to the comments below, leave a comment. We'll try to get back to you as quickly as we can. Thanks for your time and good luck with your research.